Hi, this is Mark Littleton, the minister of the Word for the Athens Church of Christ, with today's 3-minute sermon. We're looking at 1 Corinthians chapter 13 last week and this week, and we're thinking about what Paul tells us about love. We hear so much about love and what it is, and so often love is just this feeling, this emotion that we experience. But it's interesting, as Paul tells us about love, he doesn't describe it as a feeling or an emotion, but he describes it as an action. 1 Corinthians 13, beginning in verse 4, Paul says, "Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails." Today I want to look at one of those characteristics that Paul mentions in verse 5 about love, where he says that love is not easily angered. Some translations will render that love is not irritable. Now, when we think about anger, if you look through Scripture, there are certain times and there are certain things about which we need to be angry. Things that break the heart of God, things that go against the values of God, the will of God. Some of those things rightly ought to make us angry. Injustice in our world ought to make us angry. But that's not what Paul is describing in 1 Corinthians 13, verse 5, when he says love's not easily angered. This is describing a person who just flies off the handle, just in the heat of the moment, loses his cool, loses her temper, and just flies off at the handle and explodes all over someone. Probably you know people who have a tendency to do that. Hey, let's be honest. Sometimes maybe we are people who have a tendency just to lose our cool and lose our temper and are easily angered and just irritable people. Paul says love doesn't do that. Love isn't easily angered. So here's the challenge for you and for me today. What makes you angry? And when you get angry, how do you respond to that? Do you respond in a reasonable, rational way, or do you respond by just flying off the handle and exploding all over someone? Love isn't easily angered. Let's not be irritable people today. Lord willing, we'll see you again tomorrow for another 3-minute sermon. God bless.